Da-da-da. You're going to be seeing this on the 16th of June. Who
Yes.
knows what might just happened over the past weekend. We're having an interesting week here, the week of the 9th through the 13th, which is when we record these. And as you know, we publish these on Monday morning. Jennifer Weichman to the right here, make sure that it gets out to many, many, many different social media platforms. Thank you, Jennifer, for knocking a lot of that out.
Yeah. And we were Monday, but we were Monday afternoon because we were in Ohio for a family shindig, and it was a good one.
How was the Reds game? How was the weather?
Well, we got completely rained, but we were underneath the overhang, so we didn't get wet at all. And we drove up to Ohio. We swapped the refrigerator here, took it up there because it fit better. So we got to Ohio at 2:30 in the morning. We were out Friday and Saturday night till 12:30, 1 o'clock. We came home on Sunday and we had to offload the refrigerator from up there here and 2 other pieces of furniture and then take the rest. We left the trailer here, took some other furniture in the pickup truck down to Winchester and didn't get there till 2:30 in the morning. So, and then yesterday, my daughter's in town with her guy. And so we were celebrating my birthday. That's Friday coming up, and had a good time. And then we sat and talked in the hot tub until like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm a little tired.
Sounds boring. Sounds like you have a boring life, Jennifer.
I know,
don't go anywhere. Don't do anything.
No. And I moved a year ago and we're still figuring everything out, where it goes, what to go. Now, at the same time, and then we should probably talk about this sometime. It's a consolidation move. Like Tim and I are having houses together, but separate. His parents were liquidating that house. It's just, there's so much. And, both my girls just bought houses. And, Mark, that's one of the things we were talking to you about is how do you get all the stuff in? I think that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit today. What did you guys get into this week?
What'd you do, Mark?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm fully engaged in repairs, but because that's nothing new in rental ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But largely a lot of career, a lot of clients dealing with career changes, career problems, and spouses not being on the same page.
That's hard.
It is.
Jennifer's weekend sounded like a whole lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Been talking to Brooke. I'm sitting here for the last 40 seconds going, I can't even remember what I did Saturday or Sunday, which is really pathetic. I really can't. I think it rained a lot. I mean, it's been raining a lot.
It rained copiously.
Oh, more's coming your way because it's raining right now, and that's good.
When's it coming? Because I want to float the river on Friday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go to the Cosmics or the Maniacs or whoever. They're like the Savannah Bananas. They play them, but it's at Sound Stadium Saturday night. And we're supposed to barbecue with my parents on Sunday.
Well, see, she's already talking about next weekend. I still can't remember what I did last weekend. So
yeah,
I guess we need to dig into what we do here. I think, by the way, Jennifer, didn't you get some award, some social media award?
I did. So I got recognized for it's a Social Bay Award, and that's a company that I use to help promote my listings, my social media things, all of that. And it's not just that I do it, but that it's engaging with the people on my social media and others. So the only reason I share it is not because it's woo-woo about me. It's, hey, if you're listing with me, there's eyes on this.
Well, it should be woo-woo about you, because if you don't woo-woo about you, then the bots don't know how to pick up and put you forward and get you in front of the people that care about the woo-woos about you.
Yeah.
So, good for you.
I think I told you I'm a Zillow Showcase agent too, which
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think 10% of the agents in a market are that. And what that does is, and it's something I have to pay to use the service, but I was given the ability to use it. When I have my Unionville house, if you went on Zillow and you type Unionville, Tennessee, I'm looking for a house, my listing's going to pop to the top. So Got one
Okay.
coming in Colioca, probably have one coming in Mont Eagle. Those will both be, the Colioca is coming live on the 20th. The Mont Eagle might be the 27th. And then I'm probably going to have one in Spring Hill in mid-July. So all of those will benefit from that
So
surge.
Jennifer, I've got some content for you this next weekend of the things you're going to, as a daughter of the American Revolution, as you know,
Yeah.
Saturday is Flag Day. So
Yes.
let's be looking for some Flag Day content from a DAR. Just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
Yep. What was the other thing that was coming up that I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be, Bonnaroo. We drove from Winchester to Nashville on Tuesday, and they were already not on the freeway lining up, but like they had the cones out to make the off ramp because it backs up for miles. But on the road, at a mall area, it'd be called a service road, the one that runs parallel to the freeway on the, not on the freeway. They were already backed up for probably 2 miles. Campers, cars with car camping, cars with, camping tents and stuff strapped on up top.
They're already there. They're ready to get it on.
Yeah, they are. Never been.
Sounds like fun. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Lance, you still haven't figured out what you did, so we'll figure out what we're doing today.
Yeah.
So Mark, in talking with my daughters, and in a lot, like Tim and I are fortunate that we have too many houses, like too many housefuls of stuff. And a lot of people do have too much stuff, you know what I mean? But then it's like, okay, like one of the pieces of furniture we brought down was like a desk table. Okay, well, I'm going to get rid of my desk and I'll use this as my desk table because it has some meaning for his family. There's nowhere really to put it in his house. So I asked my daughters, do you need this desk? No, no one does. So, that's probably going to be, and then I had a refrigerator repair guy at my house, and I know that he's a youth pastor. I said, any of your kids need a desk? Because I'll always go that direction first and then try and get rid of it. But my kids are, I need a kitchen table. I need a chest of drawers. I need a ladder. I need, what was the other thing that was like, a couch, washer and dryer, refrigerator, a drill, like things that sometimes when you're in your middle age and you've had homes, you don't think about. And I know that when I first did senior move management, I told my daughters I'd string them up if they went retail to fill their house. They needed to go to really even more than garage sales, estate sales. But then we have like Habitat for Humanity here. So you budget some of these things. Some of these things you don't want to buy used because it's like a bad used car. So what do you talk to your people about when they're buying their home?
Yeah.
And let me preface this by saying too, in Tennessee, with a strong offer, 95% of the time the refrigerator in the kitchen conveys with the home. The washer and dryer conveys 15 to 20% of the time. It does not usually stay. And then obviously like the built-in microwave, it's built-in, stove, dishwasher, those stay. Play sets stay about half the time. Microwave sitting on a counter don't usually stay. If it's glued and screwed, it stays, but the refrigerator is often written into the contract.
Yeah, so this is a great topic to talk about, especially when you're buying a house. And so you did exactly what the majority of my clients did. And when it comes to laying out all of the things, do you know how many rooms that you basically touched in wanting a drill, wanting a table, wanting a dishwasher, or a refrigerator, wanting a dresser? You just touched 5 different homes in the house, or 5 different rooms in the house. So one of the best things to do is do exactly what you described. Grab a piece of paper and a notebook, notebook, pencil and paper, and write out each room. Mm-hmm. What is it that you're looking and start building that list of things. So
how soon do you need it?
Yeah, and how soon do you need it?
If you've been gifted a patio table, put that in the kitchen for a minute.
Right. Set that as a priority. I mean, when you list those things, a dresser may not be a priority because you have shelf space in the closet and you can do with that until you find the right dresser. And so just because a lot of times, just because a refrigerator may convey and washer and dryer may stay with the house, okay, doesn't necessarily mean that people want to keep those long term. So let's talk about this, because refrigerators, depending on what you do, you can probably spend anywhere from $500 all the way up to $20,000.
I think your low side might be 800 now.
And, okay, 800 may be the low side.
And I think the average is probably 17 to 2,500 for a not Mac Daddied out, just fairly standard refrigerator.
Yeah, let's just go with the standard.
I would say 2,000.
French door.
2,000 ice water. 2,000.
Right, middle class refrigerator. Let's
2,000.
Middle class
2,000.
family refrigerator.
2,000. Now, washers and dryers, there's a much bigger range on that. You can get a decent washer, 700.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one's more, if it's the washer or dryer, but like it's about another 2,000 for the pair. And I don't know about you guys, but I might temporarily buy $100 to $500 refrigerator off of Facebook or what have you. Washer and dryer, no.
Yeah.
Too likely to have a flood, too likely to have it break,
Well, just the sense that someone else has washed their clothes and now the dryer washer that you're washing yours tends to trigger some people, right?
Yeah. And the refrigerator, you can wash it out with, Clorox or vinegar or whatever. And if it's still running when you have the money to get your next one, beer fridge. Who doesn't need a beer fridge?
Yep. I mean, when I was on my journey, my 500 at the time, that's my 498 Sears refrigerator sounded like a basketball when it turned on, because the motor, it was so old.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had to turn the TV up just so I could drown out the sound of the refrigerator. So that's a story for another day. So,
well, and honestly, I joke about having a beer fridge, but if you have kids, first of all, the most cost efficient thing you can do for your groceries is have a deep freeze. But if you have that extra fridge, like when our fridge died, I was having repairs done, I didn't have to lose all my food because I had the beer fridge, and it's not full of beer. And even if it's full of beer can get warm. So we took everything, and we were able to not have to panic and go out, like I say, hair on fire, and buy something that we weren't ready to do.
So let's introduce the strategy. Let's grab a $2,500 refrigerator. So how would we look at buying a refrigerator at $2,500?
I'm going to open that store card that they told me to do when I'm checking out.
Please don't.
Please don't, because now your debt to income ratio is just taking you out of Lance's.
Right. Oh, you don't buy jack diddly until you close. This whole conversation is full stop right now. You don't buy anything until you close. I'm talking after close. That's when I open that card, right? No,
So
I'm setting you up, Mark.
Yeah. So there's something called a sinking fund.
Okay.
Another name for it is a temporary holding account, or just an extra savings account. Okay. So there's some strategies, and I'm going to take the strategy that I would use to help someone update their car and apply it to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a $2,500 refrigerator. Okay. That's probably not a great example, but we have at this point in time, and we have a refrigerator. Okay. So what we might do is break it, just line item a budget. Put a line item in your budget that we want to save an extra $100 every 2 weeks. So we're saving $200 a month for and we're putting that in the temporary savings account and until we get to 2,500. Now, the strategy that I would use for this is once I got an amount of money, say it's $2,000 in my account, I'm probably going to start listing and trying to sell that refrigerator. So I can take the money that I saved plus the refrigerator that I sell, combine them together, and then go buy the refrigerator. Now, you got to time this right, because you might not exactly get everything together to line up. So you've got to gauge how well or how quickly you can do this. And that's really the basic strategy to this. It's the simple. A lot of people think, okay, when you have no debt and you have, and even if you do have debt, okay, simply saving off $100 or $50 towards your goal every paycheck. What do you do when you want to when you're investing in your 401k? Well, you set a percentage. They take it out of your check every day or every paycheck, and they put it in an account for you.
Yep.
Take the same concept and apply it here. Now, I have no problem. I have 4 accounts. I have a checking account and I have 3 savings accounts. My checking account is obviously for immediate debit needs, and I have 3 savings accounts. One is for an emergency fund, one is for home repairs and taxes and stuff like that, and the second one is a general vacation fund. Mm-hmm. So you can have multiple accounts under your checking account. Or there's banks out there with either something called vaults or buckets where you can open up a savings account and have individual buckets that you put money in. I'll be more than happy to share. I think it's Ally Bank that does that.
The old Christmas funds. Yeah.
And you still make interest on the total amount that's in your main savings account. It's not just limited to the bucket. I think SoFi has vaults. It's the same concept. On the other hand, I have a brick and mortar bank. I like going into the bank. It is a regular trip for me. And so I have multiple savings accounts underneath my checking account. And when I want to save, I'm already starting to prepare my July 2025 budget. Yes, we're only on June 11th, but I'm already starting to look at July. And when July hits, I will look at probably my mid-month check, and I will transfer $50 over into that temporary savings account. And here's another step. If you're learning this for the first time, force yourself to make the transfer yourself. Why am I suggesting that? Because it's giving you control, and it's changing your habits. It's forcing you to go in and maybe force is the wrong word, but it's challenging you it's training you to go into your own account, transfer that money, and have an actual physical action within your own savings. As time goes on and you feel like or if you don't feel like you need to have that level of training, do an automatic transfer, set up an automatic transfer from one account to the next. And you're just like your 401k contribution. If you're automatically transferring it into that sinking fund, you're not going to miss it.
All right. So I have a question for Lance about some of these things, and they're kind of interrelated. You're going to be buying a house. Let's assume that your realtor is going to be able to get you a refrigerator. Like there's one there and she can negotiate that, or he can negotiate it. But you need to get your washer and dryer, and you have a sinking fund, and you don't need it for the house purchase. It's just sitting there, right? Like you've got money. Maybe you've got $4,000 set aside to be able to buy a couch, kitchen table, a washer and dryer. If you have that money sitting there, does that positively impact you because you have reserves when you're going through the loan process as an FHA, let's assume FHA buyer or FHA THDA buyer?
I believe it does because ultimately for a THDA or FHA loan, you're looking for an approved eligible with what was called the AES, the AUS. We've talked about that before, the automated underwriting services. So when we start with a loan, whoever it is, we try to run it through AUS. We want to run it through the Fannie or Freddie computer and get an approve eligible or accept plus. And that says, hey, this meets all the automated underwriting things and it's going to fly through. Otherwise, you have to do what's called a manual underwrite.
Yeah.
And when you get into manual underwrites, there's all kinds of rules. Like if someone's had a 30-day late on a mortgage in a year, you're not going to be doing a refi.
Not going to go through a manual, but it could potentially go through an AUS. Okay, so here's my next question for you.
The answer to your question is that yes, when you're trying to get an AUS approval, reserves help get that. So Fannie likes good credit. So if you have really good credit scores, it'll allow things sometimes that others wouldn't. And Freddie likes cash. It likes to see that borrowers have nest eggs.
Okay. So a lot of people,
if there's money outside of the transaction, like a 401k, something they're not going to be taking from, we'll say, hey, let's go ahead and document that because that might help your case for a better approval.
Okay. So a lot of times, Mark, people are like, I want to be completely debt free when I buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had a conversation with someone about they want to be completely debt free by the time they buy the house and they're renting. And I think it's up at the beginning of next year. And I said, you need to hard stop before you pay off all these debts and talk to Lance or a lender that has his years of experience so that they can tell you, I'm not saying don't pay off your debt, but you may not want to pay it all off before the mortgage. I said, let's say that you have $15,000 in debt and you're sitting there on $15,000 cash you've saved up and you're ready to hit go and pay it off. It might, and correct, this is why I want to know if I'm wrong, Lance, if they pay that all off, that may negatively affect them because then their front end ratios, and you can explain all this in a minute, could be out of line, or they could be paying off something that the algorithm liked it to be at a higher, not paid off to zero. And I told them, hold on, talk to a lender, find out exactly what you should pay off, what you should pay down, what you shouldn't touch, sit on the money that you were going to be doing that with because it's assets, as we were just saying, that you're cash and reserve, which most of those programs like. Then as soon as you close, do whatever you want and pay it off because you've got the money. Was that correct or incorrect?
As Mark likes to say, every circumstance is different and we need to look at it on a one-on-one basis. I just did that to make us all laugh, but it is true. But I can tell you in my 25 years that I have more than two handfuls of people who, without talking to a Jennifer or a Mark or a me, were like, you know what? I'm sick of debt. I'm going to pay everything off. I got some money from my parents, or I inherited something, or I sold this classic car. I'm going to pay everything off. And then they come to me and they're ready to buy and they don't have a credit score. I mean, no credit score. Yeah. And they can buy a house without a credit score. You have to go through FHA. And it's the thought is escaping me at the second what it's called to do that. But
you have to build established credit. Yeah,
non-traditional credit scoring. And they're not going to like it. They're not going to get a Fannie or Freddie loan. They're going to get an FHA. The only way you can do that is with an FHA loan. And they can be buying $1 million house and putting $500,000 down. They're going to have an FHA loan, and it's going to have upfront mortgage insurance, which is 1.5% of the loan amount, which on $500,000 would be almost 10 grand. You're not going to like that. And then they're going to have monthly mortgage insurance forever. It doesn't go away like it used to at 80%.
Until they refi and get rid of that loan.
Right. And people have complete meltdowns. I don't blame them. They're like, what are you talking about?
It doesn't make sense.
Right. It doesn't make sense. So, man, it's just like everything. Mark's brought us from funeral planning to investment buying to anything you do. You need to surround yourself with professionals or you're going to be, in today's our modern quick-paced world, I think you're going to be behind the 8 ball is the term they used to, probably not allowed to say that anymore, but you're going to be behind the power curve. We've got to, if you're listening, as Mark also likes to says, if you're listening, you got to talk to us.
Yeah. Well, okay. So recap really quick. We're not buying things when we're in the process of buying a house. We're not buying the things. And then Although you can buy it with cash if you wanted to, I just would still say wait unless there's some like outstanding reason to do it. But you're certainly not doing it on any kind of credit, even if it's the best deal ever. Then once you buy the home, you're going to purchase what you need and set up sinking funds for better models of them in the future. And you're not going to go paying off your debt willy-nilly. If home buying is in your future in the next year, don't go paying off all your debt without talking to a lender who can tell you where to really apply your money.
I've got to interrupt for a second. I got to tell you the story. Jennifer said something that hasn't happened for a while. I bet it's going to happen now that she just mentioned it. People go out and buy things. So they go to a particular furniture store called Some Things to Go.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like 5 years of free interest. Okay. So they're buying this. Jennifer's written, no, this wouldn't happen with Jennifer's clients or mine, but someone else's.
We have a long Mrs. Weithman talk because I'd already talked to them.
They go out and they buy this furniture, and then right before closing, we do a little soft pull to make sure nothing's changed, make sure they haven't, messed up their approval. But lo and behold, there's a $22,000 line to this company. And they're like, oh, but don't worry, it's at 0%. And I'm like, well, we have to figure a calculation. Oh, no, it's 0% for 5 years. Do y'all know how we figure that calculation? Well, if you read the contract, it's 0% until the end of that term, and then you have 1 year to pay it off. Yeah. So guess what we figure that at?
1 year.
29.99% over 12 months.
Wow.
And that gets added over some furniture, and it usually that kills the deal. But it made me laugh because we haven't. Maybe that company does do the 0% financing, but in the 2000s, we saw a lot of car financing that way.
Yeah,
a lot of things were financed at 0%. So thanks for letting me.
Well, and a lot of things you need for your home: big lawnmowers, washers, dryers. A lot of those offer. And it's appealing because you're like, oh, I'm going to do it and I'm going to pay it off before it hits, and you maybe, but maybe not.
So there's a couple things here that I've picked up on. We're talking about what we do prior to buying a house, and we're also talking about things that we do after we buy a house. Yeah. And the reason why some of the core reason why we all three got together is so that we could guide people who want to purchase a house, understand what they need to do to go from not yet to yes.
Correct.
And find the right setting for them in the right house. That the house is a home. That's the whole. That's one of our core pieces here. Mm-hmm. And so again, like I said, to piggyback off of Lance, if you're listening to this right now, surround yourself with people who have the expertise to put you in the best position, because we may not want to pay off all of your debt, like Lance says, and we need to understand what is the best debt for you to go after and pay off. Let's build a plan for you to attack that. That's prior to you buying a house. For everyone out there that wants to buy a house, the last thing that you want to do is go in this on your own with no expertise around you and preparing you for the biggest purchase likely in your lifetime. So I want to encourage that. Now, on the other side of this, you're in your home. You've worked with the three of us. You've got yourself in a position. You've got a stellar deal, and you're in your house, and you want to upgrade. You want to upgrade your refrigerator,
or you just need a refrigerator. Period.
Right. Number one, I'll throw this out to the two of you. One thing that I've learned after buying my first house was, don't look at the entire house as what you need to do. Take one room at a time. And it can start with, you know what? I really don't even like how this closet is laid out. And work with one room at a time. Look at your kitchen is likely going to have the most cost for outside of major components like your heating and air conditioning, stuff like that. because your kitchen is going to have all the appliance.
Mm-hmm.
There might be. So we talked about secondhand stores, right? We also there's also appliance deals that you buy all four common appliances at once. Look for the sales during the summertime. A lot of appliance sales hit in Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July, and Labor Day weekend. Great times to look at purchases.
And it's a good time to yard sale and estate sale.
Right. If exactly, look for the estate sales that like you mentioned. But the thing that we were trying to do here is we're trying to manage our money and make it work for us by saving up and purchasing these large items without going post home purchase, driving up debt. And if you can sell any of the stuff that you might have as combining your house, like you're Jennifer, that offset that and offset any of the costs.
But sometimes it's not even buying up a whole bunch of stuff. Like you move into a house, you can usually assume, let's just assume middle America, you have a microwave, a dishwasher, a stove, but you might need to buy that refrigerator. But let's say you have the refrigerator. Some of these are not big items, but they add up. And this is where I say stay the hell off Pinterest for a minute and Instagram, okay? Because if you go to a garage sale, chances are mom and dad over 20 years who are having the garage sale, estate sale, they're going to have 4 different patterns of plates. Whatever. Make it funky and make it your own. Make them all match together. When my kids all moved out, one of like my housewarming gifts to my children for being proud of them for moving out on their own was to stock their kitchen. So I'm talking flour, sugar, salt, pepper, garlic, oregano, the basics, rice.
Yeah.
And then like we're in the South, so like Tupperware to put it down in. And then I did Pampered Chef for a while. So there are some things that are just really killer good products that I'm like, yeah, you need that. They got a great whisk. I know it sounds stupid, but their whisk is really good. Pampered Chef, we got the whisk. And then like some of the measuring things that they have. So, I bought them some of those. When my son bought his house in spring of 20, and I went to Walmart and I bought him like shelf paper and cleaning supplies and some of the basics for the kitchen, that you get. I spent around, and I did buy him a little cheapy grill, I think I spent around $550. 9 or 4 months later, Mariah's moving to Langley and establishing her household. And this was in 23. Her stuff, and it wasn't because we were in Virginia. It was because prices had gone up so much that summer with the inflation. The same kind of things was $960.
Yeah, so I really want to jump in here.
Mops.
Right. I want to jump in here for a second because there's a deeper element to what you're talking about when it comes to spending, when it comes to money and unplanned spending. Okay. I can't tell you guys how many times I hear, I was on Amazon and it was something that I thought I needed and I grabbed it. When it comes to home items like the stuff that you're talking about, Jennifer, I mean, it is not uncommon for me to have come across a client who has $400, $300 worth of things that they there was nothing on TV. I was sitting with my laptop and I jumped on Amazon and I started looking at things and
it's the old home shopping network.
$400 of different stuff for my home in my shopping cart. And this goes deeper than how we just prepare for this. If you're finding that kind of behavior, the first thing is we've got to recognize that it's going on and understand that what why is our attention away from this into spending money. and what is leading us towards the spending of money. Why do we have $400 worth of things in our cart, and you're making the purchase? We've got to stop that. If your goal is, I don't want to be in debt and I want different things in my life, we've got to find a plan to stop that unplanned spending because you're bored sitting on the couch with nothing.
Right. And going back to like, what do you need? Like, so my one daughter, she's having a hard time getting unpacked because she does not yet have a dresser. So you can find a dresser, but God knows we all hate the ones that like you pull out the drawers like, like crazy, right? So let's say that you see a dresser and it's in decent shape and it's at a yard sale for $100. But then there's one on Wayfair or Amazon or whoever that's $150, but it's new. That just go ahead and buy the $100 one. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Stay off Pinterest. Try not to have this match. Use a little bit of creativity and then say, okay, now at least I can unpack. Because I will tell you, if you have boxes and clothes and stuff everywhere, you're not going to be very functional.
So this is the same concept as I bought $100,000 car, and I drive up to the stoplight and look at me. Guess what? For everyone listening, if I'm the car next to you and you drive up on a $100,000 car, I really don't care what you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Not even looking at you.
Yeah.
So same concept with this dresser. $150 dresser versus $100 dresser. If your goals, what we have to put into this formula is, if your goals, if you understand there is something other that somewhere else you want to go with your money, then I don't care about $100 dresser versus a $150 dresser. I don't care about a $15,000 car versus a $100,000 car.
Do you know I've never bought a bedroom set for myself?
What's that?
I've never bought a bedroom set for myself. My bedroom set as a child was a hand-me-down. It was my dad and my uncle's. When we first got married, my ex picked out the set. It was a gift. Then when I got divorced, I had more hand-me-downs. And I will get a bedroom set. But quite frankly, if you've seen my bedroom set, you know me pretty well. And you know that I'm tight on money and I'm going to put my priorities first. Same thing with a scratch and dent. Like my washer's gray and my dryer's white. I don't care. If you're seeing my laundry room, you know where my priorities are.
There was a country singer, I think her name's Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Who says that doesn't impress
me. That
me.
don't impress me much. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm not saying that it's not. If
you can do it,
to go out and do it, right? I'm not saying that, but if you have specific goals that are, and you are wanting to go to somewhere else with your finances, then a lot of this stuff is just it's not really.
It's not the focus.
Yeah, it's not the focus.
It's interesting. I think as a culture, when I look back, my moving and stuff, when Jennifer and I got married a quarter of a century ago. By the way, that's when Shania Twain sung that song over 25 years ago. I feel like people have a lot of stuff these days that
absolutely
there's more of a push to let's have all this stuff. That's what makes me me. Look at all
well,
this
and
stuff.
to walk in and have it done. It was exciting when you're like, like I remember my friend Diane telling me that her parents' first Christmas tree was literally wire coat hangers that they shaped into a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That was exciting, and that was a great memory for them. Lance, was your first couch you had with Jennifer something fancy, or was it a hand-me-down or something from God knows where, right? But that wasn't what mattered. It mattered that you guys were creating life together. It's just like
while we were talking, I'm sure, I really hope people do this, but while we were talking, I looked at Facebook at Marketplace, and I was looking at refrigerators. I was looking at couches. I was looking at dressers. They're out there. Yeah, they're not going to be the perfect. You're not going to get the FAO Schwartz, like for your child. I want the FAO Schwartz toy set. No, just anything for them to play with. They're absolutely going to love. But, I wanted to add this. I guess I'm just going way out in left field, but the quality of the products that we buy, you're talking about a washer and a dryer, $1,000. I've gone that route. I think everybody on this call in our friendship, we've talked about, man, I sure wish I had that old Kenmore. Man, I sure wish I had mom and dad's Maytag, because that thing ran for 50 years and I don't think they replaced a belt. With what Mark's saying, do your quality of product research too, because a little time, a couple hours of reading can probably save you a lot of heartache financially.
Oh, we were looking at Consumer Reports when we were buying. But, I want to say too, like I was saying, you and Jennifer were excited to be setting up house and starting your lives together. It's the same thing. It's the production. It's the appearance. It's all of that and it's the same with the wedding. The focus is so set on the pageantry and not what's happening.
Yeah.
It's so set on the presentation of the house, not I'm in a home, making a home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
So there's nowadays, I don't, and you guys, I found this in my refrigerator, and I don't know when they started this, or they could have always started it. I don't know, but most of the tags now that you see on your products, the serial number, the model number, now come with a QR code, and so if you're buying a house, and I immediately did this on the house that I bought, all of the QR codes for my, believe it or not, the overhead stove fan.
Yeah,
it was there. The washer, dishwasher, the refrigerator, the stove, all of those QR codes were there. I scanned them all. It took me to the website. I registered the product right then and there. It took literally 20 minutes to do all of the products. But you also get, by having that information, you can scan to find out what is the current price for these things. And it gives you an idea of what it's worth. So that's just gaining more information.
Right.
I'm going to share a strategy. The second thing is I'm going to share a strategy with everyone here. So I had a client, when we're talking about something like this, I think it's very easy to add another task to doing this. If you want to upgrade stuff, you also want to get rid of stuff. So I think at the same time that you're looking at the room that you're wanting to do, declutter the room and use the money that you're using, that you're selling this stuff from decluttering to purchase the items. You may be able to do this, make enough money, supplement it for what you've saved, and it's a wash, right?
Yes, but I'm going to tell you, there's a new book out.
Just finish, Jennifer, real quick.
Sorry.
So I had a client who had started off just decluttering her kids' room, kids' clothes, kids' toys, the electronics. I may have even shared this on a previous podcast. But the first week that she posted things on Facebook Marketplace, $1,100.
Perfect.
Okay, went through. It took whatever she didn't sell on that first room. When she went to the second room, combined those items together, and in the third week, made $1,800. That bought a lot of, paid off a lot of. She used it to pay off some debt. But she also used it to replace some stuff in one of the rooms that she decluttered.
So was she buying very high end things to begin with, though?
No.
Because a lot of times you just don't get money for things, Mark. Because there's so much stuff out there.
Well, I don't know how she was doing it, but she killed it.
I mean, if you're buying like brand name clothing for your children, yes, you could clear some of that money. And if you've bought them so many toys and things that some of it's hardly used, again, yes, you can get some of that money. Or if it's certain brand names of toys. But a lot of the times when you're getting rid of stuff, people put too much value on this beautiful thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not getting $5 for this.
Right.
We've got a loft bed that we're trying to sell, and I said it's probably going to sell for $25 to $50. Oh, no, it is.
Yeah.
But $25 or $50 a few times adds up.
Yeah.
So when you're clearing it out, the other thing too is because people do have too many things and it really does impact them. And then they're dissatisfied with what's going on in their room because it's so cluttered and there's no peace. And the things that they have are kind of tatty or they don't bring them happiness anyway. And that is where whatever Conda is like, get rid of some things. Sometimes if you're not going to make a decent amount on it, it's better just to get rid of it and donate it and have that peace.
Yeah, there's exactly. I'm not
But
saying
if you can make money, make money.
I'm just suggesting that this client was whatever she did, she knocked it out of the park.
Yes, she did.
Are you
Well,
going to be able to sell everything? No, there's a ton of stuff out there. You may just donate it and try to get help someone else out.
yeah. Well, that's like, you remember Longenberger baskets?
Yeah, I think I remember something like that.
So one of my mom's friends got divorced and she had a lot of Longenberger. I don't know if she had sold it or if she was just in a position married to get a lot of it. And she sold 5 or 6 baskets and was able to decorate, or not even decorate, but furnish her family room in her new place where she had a couch and chairs. Now she wasn't buying everything new, but Longenberger baskets now, you can pick them up cheap. And that's this thing that's really sad is don't put your money, if you're buying something, it's like artwork. Don't spend $1 million on a piece of art because it's going to appreciate and it's going to this, that, or the other thing. Spend $1 million on a piece of art because A, you have the money, and B, you like the art. Because things, Hummels, Fenton Glass, Longenberger, Cabbage freaking Patch Kids, and what are those other ones? Beanie Babies. They're not worth $300 million in your attic.
Nope.
And hanging on to that stuff, it is weighty on your person.
There was a window of time during the fad where that could have been that, and I'm sure that there are some collectibles now. I don't know.
Sure.
But there was a window, and that's what you've got to, if you're holding on to it because you think that it's going to bring you to the promised land, then you're probably one of 500 people out there thinking the same thing. Yeah.
And again, live in the moment for what the moment is, not for what your presentation to the world is.
Right. That's a whole nother episode. We probably ought to wrap it up. We're at 50.
Yep. So next week, we're going to talk about life insurance. We have a special guest about life insurance, getting new life insurance when you have a house, how much you need, when you have kids, all those kinds of things. And then the week after that, we were talking ahead of this. We've all had clients who want to build on a piece of property in the country. How do you facilitate that build, that construction when you've got to sell your house to buy the house and you don't have anything to live in? So in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about different strategies that people can use to build, and not just a country house. It's just often in this area, that is what it is, but to build that house that you really don't intend to move from, whether it's a country house, a lake house, a suburban house that's just going to fit you for a long amount of time, but you're going to build it. Where do you live and how do you do? So that's in 2 weeks. So
outstanding.
Very good, guys.
there we go. In the meantime, thanks. Great job today, Mark. Thank you so much, because it's not things people think about.
No, it was a great discussion.
So, all right. Thank you, guys. Let's go ahead and pop end.